I was surprised by how the Chinese treated religion. Before I entered this class, I thought they worshipped dragons and Buddha. I thought meditation and something called Tai Chi played a part as well, but that was pretty much it. What I found, though, was that China had a secular history more interesting than Scientology and the oceanic cargo cults combined. Granted, the Chinese did have gods early on, like Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor, and Fuxi, inventor of the family. But the Chinese didn't count on those gods like the Christians count on Jesus today. Perhaps part of this was because the Chinese had no heaven to aspire to, though they had only an eternity roaming the earth as a spirit to look forward to. This had two cool effects. First, it encouraged the living to get the most out of life. Second, it brought communities together. The Chinese believed that the spirits of the aforementioned gods had some effect on their lives, and could only speak with the common people through a long line of dead ancestors. Though this gave birth to a lot of ghost-pleasing rituals, it created a strong patriarchal society, where son listened to father and father listened to grandfather. Now, if pleasing the grandfather meant bringing back a beating heart or something crazy like that, the Chinese would not be on the rise today. Though ritual was a large part of this ancestor religion, virtue was the most important thing. Not intelligence, strength, or speed, but, as Confucius says, not doing to others what you would not like to be done upon yourself, and working hard. The Chinese did not have to worry about their god or ancestor asking them to ride a plane into a skyscraper because they had known that person when they were alive. It could be said that Confucius brought an end to this era of ancestor worship, or at least a philosophy that kept the Chinese values of filial piety, hard work, and empathy without explicitly endorsing the theory of ancestor spirits. Don't get me wrong, Confucius was a big believer in ritual, spiritual or otherwise, but only so far as those rituals kept order in society. Since the great master was known to set the good from the bad in his texts, we can assume from 7.21 that he did not believe in spirits, or at least considered them below the topic of, or below conversation. Quote, the master never talked about miracles, violence, disasters, or spirits. End quote. What's also cool about China is that they believe in a system of values, not in systems of belief. Taoism is a good example of this. They can follow its founder's teachings, Lao Tzu, without necessarily believing that he can turn water into wine. I won't go too much into Taoism because that's more philosophy, but I will share with you what I consider the coolest story of all Chinese history. In 300 to 400 CE, the Roman Empire was failing its people. Taxes were high, and the rich-poor gap was getting larger every day. Christianity, which had so far been an obscure Jewish religion, was popularized after Emperor Constantine declared himself a Christian and gave freedom of religion to all of Rome. Why? Because Constantine had seen a cross during the Battle of Milvian Bridge and won the battle after he drew said cross on the shields of his soldiers. Now that is an incredible story in itself, but I've got parallels more shocking than those between Lee Harvey Oswald and John Wilkes Booth. Following an era of culture, the Eastern Han was in a bad shape. Like the Romans, they had a bad track record. 100 years of inequality and inadequate government. Like the Romans, they existed around 200 CE. Like the Romans, their peasants found God. But instead of drawing up a new savior like the Jews, the Chinese took one of their greatest philosophers, think Aristotle, and turned him into a yellow turban-wearing god named Zhang. Amazingly, this has more to do with Christianity than Curious George. Like Jesus, Zhang performed miracles, spirit healed, and asked for donations for the church, and preached of heaven and hell. If that's not crazy, I don't know what is. But yet some of us wear crosses around our necks, not turbans on our heads. Why? Because Zhang believed that heaven was for the dead and the living. He was going to restore Lao Tzu's kingdom on earth with an army of holy warriors. But he was crushed, and the religion subsequently died out. Jesus, on the other hand, was alright with waiting to die to go to heaven, and now some people still worship him today. Does that make Christianity better, or just less likely to be crushed?